Hello everyone, my name is Flo. Welcome back to Flo Finance, a channel where we talk about money matters that concern us as Nigerians. As I always say, I am not a financial expert. I am just an investor investing in the Nigerian financial sector since 2001. And on this channel, I share my investing experiences. So today I have a seasoned, experienced someone to answer some of our burning banking sector questions. She's a YouTuber, and on her YouTube channel, she uploads a variety of content that also concern us as Nigerians, including financial sector content. That person is none other than NEZEVILLE.
Thank you so much, Flo Chinyere. Thank you so much for hosting me on your channel. Thank you for having me here. I'm so elated and excited to be here with you, to have this very interesting discussion with you guys. And I'm very certain that all of us here would have so much to take home from today's interaction. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure to have you here, NEZEVILLE. Please introduce yourself to my Flo Finance viewers.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Chineze Ada. I am a Nigerian-based YouTuber living in Port Harcourt. I am a barrister and I'm also a banker. And I'm married with 3 amazing children. I think that's just it.
So can you share with us your experience working in a bank?
Okay, I joined banking in 2013 as an executive trainee. And this is my 8th year as a banker. I have shuttled several departments of the bank, ranging from the customer service to operations to retail banking, exclusive banking, and a host of others. So yeah, this is my 8th year as a banker.
I told you guys she's seasoned. Now I want to be a banker. So if I want to work in the Nigerian banking sector, Neze, what qualifications do I need?
I'm going to divide this question into 2 dimensions. I'm going to take it from the academic qualification and the non-academic qualifications. On the academic qualification, contrary to so many people's thinking that you have to have studied banking and finance or accounting or economics or some kind of financial related course for you to work in a bank in Nigeria, that is not true. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a barrister and I'm working in a bank. Anybody from any field of study can work in the bank. Okay, before you are deployed to start working, we go through this very intensive training. I think mine lasted for like 3 months, sometimes 4 months, where you are totally groomed and trained. So irrespective of your course of study, you can work in a bank. And to add to that, there's plenty of learning on the job to do. It's more practical than theory. So anybody from any field of work can work in the bank. That's for the academic qualification. For the non-academic qualification, I think one skill that the banks look out for when hiring is you have to be smart. Okay, let me just put it in that way. You have to be smart. Many banks do not employ graduates that have degrees below the 2nd class lower. Okay, most banks in Nigeria, if not all banks, employ just 1st class, 2nd class upper, and at the minimum the 2nd class lower degree. So you must have at least a certain level of academic soundness. That's one quality you should possess if you want to work in a bank in Nigeria. Secondly, you should be computer proficient. Yes, you don't have to be an expert, but at least you should know your way around Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, because you're going to spend plenty of time on the system as a banker. So computer efficiency and proficiency is very, very important. And thirdly, you must possess a very great interpersonal relationship skill. So you must be a very good manager of people. You know that you are dealing with people's monies, and when it comes to money, human beings are very irate, they're very sensitive, especially in this part of the world where you don't have so many literates. A majority of the population are illiterates or are the middle class. So you must have good relationship management skills, because you're going to be dealing with different people from all walks of lives, different characters and different attitudes. So those are the 3 major skills or qualities that you must possess if you want to work in a bank in Nigeria.
It's good to know that they're still taking people with varying degrees. Can you give details of these skills you need to learn and on-the-job training you receive when you're working in the bank?
Okay, what skills and on-the-job trainings do bankers in Nigeria receive? Okay, for skills, I think the number one skill that an average banker in Nigeria will have no choice but to learn on the job is the skill to work under pressure. Yes, that is the number one skill. Bankers are always under pressure, constantly under pressure. You might walk into the bank and see us looking all smiley and looking all dressing all smart, but we are dealing with like 1,000,001 battles and things and so many things at the same time. And despite under this pressure, you have to still be amiable, you have to be cheerful to customers, and they wouldn't know what you're even dealing with in the other office. You have to have that ability to work under very, very intense pressure as a banker in Nigeria. In fact, there is a saying, there's an unwritten agreement that banking is the most difficult corporate job in Nigeria. And trust me, I wouldn't doubt that for a second. You know, if you see bankers going out so early and coming back so late, it's not because we wish to be away from our family. It's just that the workload is enormous. It's enormous. So yeah, it's so enormous. So you have to, as a banker, learn to work under pressure, learn time management. Yes, time management. If you not learn time management and how to plan your life as a banker, you're going to find one aspect of your life suffering, either your family or your health. Yes, so many bankers you see are hypertensive. That's because of the pressure that comes with banking. So you have to learn time management. You have to learn ability to work under pressure. You also have to learn how to be multi-dynamic as a banker. You have to be very, very multi-dynamic because you're going to be dealing with people from different walks of life, different levels of reasoning. You might go from having a conversation with that plumber, that welder by the roadside in pidgin English, in vernacular, to speaking with that semi-literate or illiterate Igbo trader in Igbo language, and you have to speak your local dialect just to get to that level of that person's understanding. And you can also go from that same day to giving a model top-notch presentation to senior members of the board of maybe a federal government parastatal or Shell, NNPC. So you have to just be different things at the same time. And definitely you have to be customer centric. You have to think about your customers because banking is all about delivering service.
So basically you have to be everything. I don't want to be a banker anymore. Moving on. Neze, on this channel, we talk about investing in Nigeria, and that includes starting businesses. And we know that with startups, one needs funds. And one of the greatest challenges of startups is availability of funds. The sector you work in is the sector responsible for making funds available to people when they need it so that they can keep the economy moving. What do you think about the relationship between Nigerian banks and SMEs, that's small and medium scale enterprises? How easy is it for SMEs to get funds from banks, get loans from banks when they need it?
The relationship between the Nigerian banks, the commercial banks in particular, and SMEs in Nigeria have really come a long way. Yes, we have really made very good progress from what it used to be in the past. Many banks have now realized that to achieve a very stable and constant growth and progression, retail banking is the key. Retail banking should be the focus. And when I say retail banking, I'm talking about that small supermarket by the roadside. I'm talking about that pharmacy at the junction, Emeka and Sons, Chinedu and Brothers. Yes, so banks are no longer focused on the PZs and the Unilevers and the Shell and Totals. Banks are now looking for these small businesses because that is the only way banks can indeed have long-term and stable sustainability. So prior to this era, it was easier for the head of a cow to literally pass through the eye of a needle than for one to get a loan in a bank. Yeah, they'll tell you, then you'll be told to bring this collateral. The terms and conditions are always very impossible to meet. But now in this era today, in today's banking, you could just sit in the comfort of your home without signing or writing any letter or application and just dial a code and get an instant loan. So yes, things are getting really digitalized and very easy. In today's banking, the focus or benchmark on collateral has been severely watered down. Okay, so that era of for every loan, bring a C of O, bring landed property with title documents. That era has really been watered down, and the focus now is on account activity, turnover. So you can access several kinds of facilities. In fact, the loans and facilities that I personally have been booking in the last 2 years have all been non-collateral loans, meaning we didn't have to ask for any kind of collateral. Once we go to your statement and we can see account activity, there's frequent turnover on the account. That is enough for the bank to give you a facility. Another reason why I am of the opinion that the relationship between banks now and SMEs have greatly been improved is the requirement for length of relationship before loans can be given. Now, in the past, before an SME can access loans in a commercial bank in Nigeria, you should have opened and run your account for at least 1 year. Okay, but now with your turnover from another bank, you can open an account and instantly get a loan in a bank. So if you walk into bank A, but you have been banking with bank B before and you do not have any single existing relationship with bank A can require of you to get your 1 year statement of accounts from that bank where you already have an existing relationship and benchmark your eligibility based on what you have done with another bank. It wasn't quite as such before now. Another great improvement that has happened that I believe would benefit SMEs is the ability of banks now to use the turnover or statement of account on a personal account to appraise an SME. So we all know that in Nigeria, so many SMEs in quotes are not registered. They do their businesses and run their transactions from their personal accounts in their individual name. So before now, such turnovers do not count, okay, because those transactions were done in an individual name. But now, instances where an enterprise, an SME enterprise, can access a loan and is going to be appraised on all the turnover he or she has conducted from the individual account is now obtainable. So you can be running an account in your personal name, Mrs. Chinyere, and you go and register a company, and instead of opening a corporate account and running that corporate account for 1 year, you can open that corporate account today and the bank will appraise you and determine your eligibility based on what you have been doing on your personal account. So all these moderations, all these variations, they just increase the chances of SMEs to get to access loans and to enjoy so many benefits from the bank. So I think the relationship has quite improved, although there's still room for more improvement, but the relationship has come a long way, and I believe that it will keep getting improved as time goes by. In addition to that, we have support from CBN. We're seeing CBN giving banks money now to loan to SMEs at cheaper rates than what the bank would ordinarily give. We have these women in business loans. We have so many agri loans now coming up. Yeah, so SMEs now more than ever have chances to access easy facilities. Of course, it is subject to the 5 C's in lending. There's something we call the 5 C's in lending. Character, meaning do you have a good character? Because no matter how qualified you are, if you have a history of bad credit, or if you are known to be a perpetual debtor that does not like to pay his or her debt, no bank will give you a loan. So character is one of the C. We have capacity. Are you capable of paying back that money? So that's why we're going to check your turnover to see your past history, what kind of monies have been coming in and out of your account. You cannot be requesting for a 1 million naira loan, but in the last 1 year you have just done 50,000. Your capacity will be in question. We have capital, we have conditions, and we have collateral. Collateral is always the last. So sometimes you hear some people they'll walk into the bank, they'll tell you, I have collateral, I need a loan, I just need 1 million naira, but I have a house of 500 million. So why won't you give me the loan? If you do not qualify for a loan based on all these other C's, collateral cannot save you, because the bank is not, we're not an estate management company. It's not our primary function to dispose people's property. So collateral is like added comfort, okay, to cushion risk, not that it's a benchmark for loan. So no matter how beautiful or tangible your collateral is, if it does not meet the minimum requirement to qualify for a loan, the bank will still not give you. So loan and lending is very, very broad. There are so many angles and aspects to loan. I think we are going to take a separate discussion or topic on obtaining a loan or a facility in Nigeria. So maybe I and Chi would arrange for that, but it's very broad. There are different loans with different criteria, different conditions, different modalities. We have asset finance for those that want to buy assets like television, ACs. We have auto loan for those that want to buy cars. We have device financing for those that want to buy mobile laptops. We have mortgage for those that want the bank to finance the purchasing of a building or a land. We have term loan for businessmen that also want cash to put into their business. So there's so many kind of loans, and the different kind of loans have different qualification criteria and all of that. So that will be a different conversation for another day if you guys want a more in-depth understanding on how to obtain a loan in Nigeria.
Have you heard that? Stop hiding your money under the bed. Stop tying it in your wrapper. Go and pay your money into your account. Withdraw it when you need it, because the activity on your account is the new collateral. It may well be the only collateral you need to secure that loan. Go and register a company. I even have a video on my channel on how to do that. So thank you so much, Neze, for that very detailed answer. And of course, I am off for a video where we'll discuss in detail the various loans that Nigerians can access. And Flow Finance viewers, have you liked this video yet? If you're enjoying the video so far, please click the like button. We want to get those likes in the thousands so that this video can be seen by more people. And also, if you have family and friends, share this video with them if you think that they will find this video helpful. Thank you. Neze also uploaded another video on her channel where she asked me some very smart and juicy questions about my experiences doing YouTube for the past 10 years. This, my channel, Flow Finance, may be a new channel, but my Flow Chinyere channel, my main channel, is 10 years old. So move over there when you're done and watch that video and subscribe to her channel. I'll put the link to that video in the description box below. Now, Neze, back to you. Recently, the CBN changed the policy on international money remittances into Nigeria. And there's been a lot of confusion about that. Is the bank you work with one of those approved to be part of the latest international money transfer procedures? If yes, please, what's the procedure for receiving these international remittances from your bank?
Oh yes, very, very important question. It's recent news and so many people are still very unclear as to how it works. So for those that do not know, recently the Central Bank of Nigeria prohibited payments of inbound inflows into Nigeria in Naira. Okay, so prior to now, somebody in the United States of America could just send you money, dollars from US, and you get the Naira equivalent in your Naira account. But the CBN has immediately prohibited that kind of activity. So if you want to receive money, outbound money coming into Nigeria, you have to receive it in that FCY currency. Hence, all transfers from diaspora must be remitted and received in FCY, foreign currency. Well, so many people were very pained about this development because people are of the opinion that it's so much easier, so much stress-free for those monies to come straight into your Naira account and you have the spending power instead of having to bother about the hassles of exchange and all of that, which I might agree. Well, it has happened and we just have to live with it. The institution where I work has been very proactive about this whole information, and immediately the bank where I worked ran a check, a 6-month check on customers who have received inbound inflow into their Naira accounts in the last 6 months. We ran a total check of all accounts on our database and we identified these accounts that receive such monies, and the system automatically generated a domiciliary account for these customers. So all the customers have to do is just to walk into any of the branches and regularize these accounts, submit their utility bill, ID card, and the accounts will be up and functional for them. So I think that's proactive, and that's what many banks should do. All banks should do, as a matter of fact. And yes, the bank where I work is approved and authorized to carry out this kind of transactions.
Wow, that's indeed a proactive response to the issue. I'm impressed. But what if I did not receive any foreign inflow in the past 6 months? Or what if I've never received any money from the abroad at all? What is the procedure for opening a domiciliary account in your bank? And is this procedure similar across all Nigerian banks?
So what do you need to open a domiciliary account in Nigeria? Thank you very much for that question. To open a domiciliary account in Nigeria, first I will just mention that this process is quite similar in all banks. So what I'm saying now applies to all Nigerian commercial banks. So first, you're going to need an ID card, and a federal government issued ID card, not your work ID, not your NYSC ID, not your police or custom ID. It has to be a federal government issued ID card. And when I say federal government issued, I'm talking your voter's card or driver's license or international passport or your national identity card, also known as your NIMC. These four are the acceptable government issued ID cards that you can use to open a domiciliary account. You're going to need at least 1 or 2 passport photographs, recent passport photograph. You're going to need proof of residence or utility bill, okay? For those that do not have NEPA bills, they could use their water rates or tenancy agreement or deed of assignment. For those that rent receipts, statement of accounts from other banks showing the address where you live. There's so many options. If you do not have a NEPA bill, then you're going to need 2 references. Yes, 2 references. And lastly, you're going to need some cash to open the account. In the institution where I work, it's at least $100 or 100 euros or 100 pounds, depending on the currency you would like to open.
Okay, so how long does the process take?
Well, all things being equal, it shouldn't take more than 24 to 48 hours to get your account number. But if there are delays or hitches along the way, it could take much longer than that. Hitches, for example, are many customers, when you give them the reference form to go get a reference signed, they come back with unsuitable referees, okay? For the purpose of opening an account that requires references, that reference should be a current account. A savings account cannot reference. Secondly, the reference account should be up to 6 months. So a relatively new account is not eligible to reference. Thirdly, the account referencing should be regular. It shouldn't be in debit, it shouldn't be inactive, and it shouldn't be dormant. So you see some customers, they'll bring a reference and that account is either inactive, there hasn't been any customer induced activity on that account in the last 6 months. That would immediately nullify that account to stand as a reference. And lastly, the signature should be regular. Very important. So when you bring a reference and the referee is not signing according to the mandate on the computer, that reference will be turned down. So the back and forth on reference can lead to the account opening being delayed. Another delay could be due to your utility bill. We all know that if you want to open an account, the utility bill should be within 3 months. Some customers bring stale utility bills of before the Civil War, 1902. That might also delay the process. So sometimes the fault could be from the customer, and the customer would end up feeling frustrated. Oh, it's taking me 2 weeks, 3 weeks to open just an account. But the truth is that many times the customers don't do the appropriate thing. If everything is okay, all documentation is in place, I don't see any reason why an account should not be generated in less than 48 hours.
Utility bill of 19 Birigidin. Now, Neze, it's only recently that BVN was introduced in the Nigerian banking sector as the unique identification for everyone that has a bank account in Nigeria. But recently, we started hearing rumors that they are planning to drop the BVN, and now that NIN, that's NIN, will be used as the new form of identification. As an insider, please, can you tell us how true is this? Is this something that they are seriously looking into?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. News of that filled both print media and social media sometime last week. Yeah, BVN was introduced in Nigeria sometime in 2014, February 2014, and to so many people's shock, absolute shock, just last week on the 9th of February 2021, the Minister for Communication and Digital Economy announced that the federal government has plans to replace BVN with NIN. Dr. Issa Pantami, I think that's his name, he made that announcement on the 9th of February that BVN will now be replaced with NIN, and Nigerians were thrown into shock and confusion, both Nigerians living in Nigeria and Nigerians in diaspora. If you have a BVN and you got it back in the days, you would know how stressful and such a Herculean task it was to get a BVN. And now, well, his argument, according to him, is that BVN is an invention of just a body. Yes, that it's a CBN that invented BVN, and NIN was invented by the federal government. In fact, I don't even understand what he means, because CBN is also part of the government, but he believes that NIN supersedes BVN. But what I can say for now is that it's just an idea. It's not a law yet. It's just an idea that the minister has presented at the National Economic Sustainability Committee. Yes, he presented it to the NESC, but it's just a board. It's just a board. It's not law yet. Nothing is going to be implemented. If the government eventually decides at that, takes a decision at that, and that is law, the banks will be the first to know, and we will communicate to our customers. For now, it is just an idea.
Okay, let's keep our fingers crossed that they will not spring a new procedure on us in the near future. Okay, in spite of the rumors about the switch to NIN, in the meantime, how can someone that does not live in Nigeria, the person lives outside Nigeria, but the person does not live close to any of the countries where BVN can be processed, and the person does not have any plans of visiting Nigeria in the near future, how can that person get a BVN done?
Okay, I'm afraid that is a very tough one. That is a very tough one. It is totally impossible now to open or run an account in any Nigerian bank without BVN. In fact, on all the platforms where account numbers are generated or where account opening takes place, the first information that you'll be asked to impute when you want to open an account is BVN. You can't even proceed without that. You must impute a BVN before you even start imputing every other thing on the account opening portal. So it's either that person desirous of getting an account in Nigeria travels to this country where he or she can get his or her BVN done, or that person would have to cope without having an account in Nigeria. So again, it is impossible for you to have an account without BVN in Nigeria. So if you do not have a BVN already, as I mentioned, you have to find a way of going to these countries or these states or towns where arrangements have been made for BVNs to be done. That is the only option.
So my people, you've heard it. No way around this. You have two options: travel to somewhere close to you and do it, or travel to Nigeria and do it. Now, Neze, what will happen to those accounts? You know, some people left Nigeria before the era of BVN, so they were not able to do it. They have not been able to do it outside Nigeria either. So what happens to these people's accounts? A lot of them are dormant now due to the inability to process the BVN and send to the bank, of course. But will these accounts be endlessly dormant? What happens? Is there a time when these accounts will be deleted from the system so that the person has lost the account forever and ever? Please tell us, what's the plan for these accounts?
Okay, thank you so much, Chief, for that question. Thank you. So prior to now, there's a longevity period for an account to go from regular and active to inactive to dormant and finally to being closed. So when an account stays 6 months without any kind of activity, it is deemed as inactive. From the 6 months when the account stays till 1 year without any customer induced transaction, it could go into dormancy. And after the first year, when the account still does not have any kind of transaction in it, to the second year, it will be closed. That is how these things are structured many times. Now, if an account is dormant prior to now, the monies will just stay and sit in the account until the owners of that account is ready to commence use. But again, in fact, so many policies have just been coming up from the federal government. Again, only recently, not so long ago, the government came up with another policy that all monies sitting idle in dormant accounts will now be moved to the federal government TSA accounts, Treasury State accounts. Yes, so the monies will leave the books of the commercial banks and now go to the government. Very funny, right? Yes, but that does not mean that these customers have lost their monies. Whenever they come back to reactivate these accounts, the monies will be repatriated back to their accounts and they will have the money. I think the government is just looking for cheap and easy funds for them to settle its responsibilities or responsibilities. I think that's what the government is trying to do. So now, I don't know when that will take effect, maybe sooner than later. When an account is dormant, the banks will be mandated to remit the funds in such dormant accounts to the federal government. But if that policy does not come to life, if that policy ends up not being implemented in the long run, what usually happens is when an account goes from dormancy to close, of course the customer does not lose his or her money. There's a GL account, like an empty account, we call it GL account, where monies from closed accounts are kept. Yes, it's a GL account. It's like an empty, like a sundry account where such monies will be moved to. So if the customers come back to the bank and okay, I had an account but the account is closed, how can I access my money? That customer can either choose to reopen that account, or a draft could be raised for the customer in the sum of what was in his or her account. So not to worry, not to be perturbed, your funds are very safe.
Nigeria just likes to complicate issues. If you will eventually return the money to the customer, why move it in the first place? Anyway, right now, we all know that there's a heavy clampdown, in fact, outright ban on cryptocurrency transactions. What and what qualify as crypto transactions? Because these days, I'm afraid when I'm putting the notes on my transaction, on my transfers, I'm very careful not to mention anything about crypto. But you know, maybe someone that has been doing crypto transactions now, even when you transfer to the person, some people may see it as a coded crypto transaction. So as an insider, what and what should we avoid when making transfers to other people within the Nigerian banking system? What should we avoid so that we don't get on the wrong side of the law?
Oh yes, cryptocurrency is another major news that broke out in this month of February, and the internet was basically thrown into, should I call it, a mayhem. So many people were so offended by the new policy. Actually, this is not the first time that the government has been beaming its light on cryptocurrency. There was a circular sometime last year where the government, through the CBN, wrote to the bank advising the banks to be very mindful of customers dealing in cryptocurrency. But what makes this recent policy stand out is that this recent one was an outright ban. Okay, there was a mandate on the banks to shut down all accounts dealing in cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency involves Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP. There are a host of them. There are so many of them. The government is saying, the government is alleging that people are hiding behind cryptocurrency as a means of exchange, money exchange, to perpetrate all kinds of illicit activities such as money laundering, terrorist financing, and to evade traceability, transparency, and accountability. That is what the government is alleging, and that is their supposed reason why they have blacklisted cryptocurrency as a legal means of exchange in Nigeria. So we all know that the banks are a very, very highly regulated system. We're a very highly regulated institution. We really take orders from the CBN and we stick to those orders. The government is the one that gives the bank its license to practice. So once the government comes out with the policy and mandates the bank to follow it, the banks really do not have any option but to follow or to succumb to these policies, because the sanctions are usually very severe. You can see just for one flout, just flouting one policy, you could see a bank getting sanctioned 20 million naira, 10 million naira, 50 million naira. The sanctions are usually very, very heavy and bulky, and you know, it just erodes all the hard work and all the profits that the bank has made. So the bank usually is very, very quick to obey these rules. No bank wants to attract regulatory sanctions or have its license withdrawn. So yes, the banks, sooner or later, whether they like it or not, would conform to this instruction, this mandate, and will start closing accounts of people dealing in cryptocurrency. Many banks, as a matter of fact, have already started writing these customers and closing these accounts. Okay, so you asked, how does the bank identify customers who trade in cryptocurrency to avoid wrong profiling and all of that? Yes, so when you check a customer statement of account, there's what we call the narration. The narration of the statement of account sheds light on the type of transaction it is, the origin of that transaction. So from the narration on the statement of account, the bank will be able to tell if that transaction is actually from cryptocurrency or has anything to do with cryptocurrency trading. So some of these cryptocurrency narrations have things like coin and them, have wordings like BITS. We know these words, we know how to find it. So we just run a check on general database, and these accounts that have such narrations will be filed out, and the next line of action will be taken. So I don't think you should be scared. If you're running businesses which are not cryptocurrency related, I don't think you should be at risk. I don't think you should have any fear that your account will be wrongly profiled, because the bank really does not want to lose its genuine customers. It's going to ensure that it's very thorough and detailed before closing these accounts. Thank
you so much, Neze, for that assurance that the innocent need not be afraid. Back to the new policy on international money transfers. One of the requirements for over-the-counter pickup is that the recipient should present a BVN. But what about tourists? Assuming someone is holidaying in Nigeria and I send money to that person, what then happens? Because a tourist definitely does not have a BVN.
Okay, thank you so much, Chi, for that question. That's a very, very intelligent question. And I know so many people on this platform will be dying to have an answer to it. Now, monies sent by IMTOs can be received through two different ways. You could either receive it directly into a domiciliary account in Nigeria, or you could receive it over the counter without having to open an account, like we see the dollar in cash over the counter. But I guess your emphasis here would be on over the counter withdrawals, because as expected, a tourist would not have an account in Nigeria, or most likely wouldn't have an account in Nigeria. So for over the counter withdrawals, some IMTOs such as MoneyGram, SendWave, you must present your BVN to receive these monies that have been sent to you. But for some others, like Western Union, like RIA, BVN is not mandatory. All you need to present to access this money or to access these funds is your valid ID card. Now back to the peculiarity of your question. This is a tourist that definitely does not have a Nigerian ID card, because the ID cards that will be accepted or that are accepted to access these monies are only Nigerian issued, federal government issued ID cards, which I earlier mentioned are driver's license, international passport, voter's card, or your NIMC. So in the case of this tourist, receiving funds through IMTOs is not an option for him, because he neither has a BVN nor a valid Nigerian ID card. So other options that this person could explore is, one, he could try accessing money through a Nigerian ATM machine, depending on the switch that controls his card. In Nigeria, the three switches that Nigerian banks use are Visa, Verve, and MasterCard. So if he has one of these cards and he has enabled this card for international transactions or foreign transactions, he can access Nigerian money with his international card. So all he needs to do is to tell this relation wanting to send him money to send it directly to his account, and he can withdraw that money on an ATM machine. Secondly, he could also access the money through a POS. There are some special POSs that are configured to recognize and process international transactions. So if, depending on where he is, his location and the kind of hotel he's lodged in, he could locate one of these POSs that are configured to accept international cards and either make payments for his hotel or do a cashback on this POS. And lastly, because I'm very solution driven, he could also explore the option or avenue of withdrawing with a proxy, with a Nigerian proxy. So if he has a friend, a business partner, a tour guide, a tour company, or anybody that he trusts, he could ask his relation to send the money to that Nigerian's account, and that person can withdraw on his behalf and remit the money to him. So those are the only options available for a tourist as painted in this scenario.
Thank you so much, Neze. That question was for tourists. Now, this one is for investors, foreign investors precisely. One of the requirements when opening an account in Nigeria is that the person opening an account must present an ID issued by the Nigerian government. How do banks handle this for foreigners who just want to move to Nigeria and invest in Nigeria? Yeah, these days there's a lot of moving back to Africa, people moving back to their roots. They don't have family in Nigeria, they don't have a Nigerian passport, nothing. They just want to move to Nigeria and probably live there, you know, buy land, build a house, start businesses in Nigeria. I'm talking about people who do not fall under the expatriate group. You know, some people, their companies invite them to Nigeria, so they process all the residence permits for them and all that. So these people just want to move to Nigeria on their own, and there's no clear information about how they can do that. How do banks navigate this for people who fall under this category?
Oh, thank you. I'm really enjoying these questions. They're so amazing and I'm having fun answering them. Okay, for foreign nationals that are desirous of opening and running an account in Nigeria, no, contrary to what people may speculate, it's not only a Nigerian government issued ID card that is admissible when you want to open an account in Nigeria. A government issued ID card is only a requirement for a Nigerian, okay? But a foreigner who has all his documentation intact. When I say documentation, I mean residence permits. You cannot be in the country, residing in the country, even if it's temporarily, without a residence permit. So once that foreigner can show his or her residence permit and it's still valid, okay, it's not expired, the bank will not have any business relationship with a foreigner with an expired residence permit. So if the foreigner can show a valid residence permit, the bank would go ahead and establish a banking relationship with him or her with whichever country's international passport that person bears. But the bank might require you to notarize the ID card. Since we do not have a portal to verify or validate international passports from other countries, the bank might ask that foreigner to go to a notary public, a lawyer, a notary public, to notarize that document, and voila, that foreigner could have an account in Nigeria. So it's very possible. There are no limitations, there are no restrictions to foreigners. As long as you have your documentation complete, you sure can have an account in Nigeria.
Wow. Thank you so much, Neze, for coming over and taking the time to answer all our questions. Guys, say thank you to Neze, and if you have more questions for her, please leave them in the comment section below.
So thank you so much, Chi. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on your channel. It was so entertaining and very enlightening talking to you guys. I hope you guys have been able to take home a thing or two from me. Don't forget to check out my channel too at NEZEVILLE and subscribe. And I believe there will be more collaborations between I and Chi. I believe I have so much more I would like to offer and give you guys, and so much more that you guys can benefit from me. Thank you so much for having me once again. I'm very honored to be on your channel.
Yes, Neze, I learned a lot. If you guys learned a lot with me, please give the video a huge thumbs up. And don't forget to go over to Neze's channel and watch the video we uploaded there. Bye bye.